here, and today I'm honored to be joined by my good friend Phil Demmel. And I've referred to this man for many years as the Rudy Sarzo of metal guitar, because he's pretty much been the first call guy for everybody, from Slayer through Lamb of God, through Testament, through Overkill, through Nonpoint. He's the man. He's the man on the bench that everyone trusts to come in at the last minute. So, how did it all begin? I guess with Slayer was your first big stand-in, right?
Actually, man, Machine Head for me was a fill-in.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
They had a couple weeks in 2002 that they needed a guy to come in, so I was a fill-in for them, and
Phil the fill-in.
I was, man. Yeah, I haven't heard that once ever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, never.
And I don't
ever.
know if I'm like the first guy to call, but I am a guy that has been available in these situations.
Yeah, because I was talking to Mr. King, our mutual friend, recently, and he was spouting lyrically about just how impressed he was with how quickly you stepped in at the 11th hour.
Oh, man.
Like, to quote him, he said, "I'm a huge Judas Priest fan, but if they called me in to sit in for someone, I'd need 2 weeks. Phil came in and did Slayer in 3 days." How is your hard drive? Are you really quick at getting stuff in your head?
It's one of those, I've always been good at there was a game show called Concentration in the 70s, and you had to pick where, this thing was here and this thing was here. And I'm really good at remembering stuff like that. Machine Head would do VIPs, and we'd have 30 a day, and I would meet their names in the beginning, and then as we were going through taking pictures at the end, try to match the names with the people. And I would go 28, 27, sometimes 30 for 30 in that.
Wow, that's impressive.
And you see them during the show and you point to them, "Hey, Ricky and Johnny," whatever, and they're super stoked on that.
Oh no, that must make their days.
It did, and it's exercise for your brain as well.
Now, how long does it stay in though? I mean, because Slayer one Slayer song is enough to blow most people's hard drive out of the water and never be fixable.
Yes, a lot of them are a lot of riffs, and the structures are, going into the
Different.
Slayer gig, there were some songs that I wasn't familiar with, so it took learning the sequence. Like with Testament, it was easier in the sense that, I grew up on these songs as well,
Right.
and I roadied for them back when Zet was in the band during the Legacy days.
Wow.
And, I've been with that band since, 84.
Gotcha.
So those were easier songs to I know how they go, I just need to learn the parts now.
Well, let's start off with some fun Slayer stuff. Just a quick comment, you're playing standing up. Do you always do that?
Always play standing up, even at home. I play the V's, so it's not easy to sit down and play, but
Right.
it's not even that, because the hand position is just different when you're playing. So I don't want to get accustomed to playing with my hand position here and then stand up and have it be different.
And the same is true of recording, obviously, as well.
Recording as well.
Yeah, I remember I asked Dime once, I said, "Do you record sitting down or standing up?" And his answer always stuck with me. He said, "You don't go to war sitting down unless you're driving a tank. Vinny's driving the tank."
Oh my God,
Isn't
that's
that great?
amazing.
Going back to the Slayer show, so you're in Kerry King's band now, so you're playing some Slayer live. What were the favorite Slayer riffs for you to play? You can remember.
Chemical Warfare has always been one of my favorite Slayer tunes. Back when I was in the early 80s, they would come up and they'd play. I saw their first ever Northern California show when they wore the makeup and the whole deal, and before Exodus corrupted them and said, "Don't wear makeup anymore."
Holt's fault, yeah.
Yeah, Thieves, that was there that night, and actually Slayer is the band that made me want to be in a heavy band and play in a thrash band. In high school, I could have gone either way with, being in a more marketable commercial band, and because I love the hair metal, I love that. But to play thrash, Slayer was the band. And I'm in the Bay Area, home of Metallica and Exodus, and my favorite's Law's Rocket at the time.
Right.
But seeing Slayer open for Law's Rocket was like, that's what I want to do.
Slayer opening for Law's Rocket.
So
wow.
I actually was roadieing for Legacy at the time, which was
Okay.
Testament, was Zetro in the band, and they came up to play at the Stone with Law's Rocket, and Legacy opened, and they sound checked with Chemical Warfare. And I remember Lombardo was just, Chemical Warfare, he kept saying it, how Lombardo, especially back in the mid-'80s, was. Riff. And it's pretty early in the morning, not a lot of warming up. Disclosure over. A lot of favorite riffs off of Chemical Warfare were just the weird bum 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 bum, just weird counting. And I've learned with Slayer, it's a lot of geometry.
Yeah,
it's
it
a
is.
lot of
It's
shapes.
yeah.
Shapes, and usually not a lot of weird counts, but there is. Another riff in that goes. Just weird.
It's so
half
Slayer.
steps and half step mania.
It's almost a different language.
It is. And I kind of refer it to that way, and I'm sure many people have too, but all these bands that I've worked with have their own language and how they speak. Lamb of God is in drop tunes, so they have their own box that they speak in, and they're testament to Eric likes, writes in certain, the phrasing's pretty similar in a lot of spots, so you get to learn their language, and then that opens up a lot more to what they're doing. Just
It's great.
Weird,
It's great, though.
But I love their they do a lot of the, a lot of those. All those little, you hear that, you go, oh, that's fuck. And the cool thing now is, being in Kerry's band is I'm submitting riffs, then whether they get used or not for the next record, it's like, I can write some Slayer like riffs.
Yeah, that's great.
And same thing happened when I joined Machine Head. It was like, I was like, oh, I don't have to worry about sounding like Machine Head because I'm in Machine Head now. I can write those riffs with the harmonics, and And we'll get to that. So
because they have a lot of parallel sort of intervals, like parallel thirds, parallel fourths, all that sort of stuff. It's great though because it works.
It does.
It's off. It puts you off kilter.
Yeah, and the harmonies that they come up aren't really always traditional, but
no, they're not.
But they work for that,
So Vio-lence was literally born from Slayer then. So I've got to ask you to show us a couple of Vio-lence riffs.
I joined a band called Death Penalty in high school in 1985, and I watched Slayer for the first time in '84. So these local guys, Chuck Billy, younger brother Eddie, Perry Strickland, the guys that were Vio-lence, they were playing heavy. It's just like they needed a guitar player. Jumped in there, started writing. I've been writing songs since I was 15 years old, writing lyrics since I was 15 years old, writing about relationships that I've never had, just doing this stupid shit. And so writing thrash became super fun for me, and it was a lot of tremolo picking. A lot of that stuff, but one of my favorite Vio-lence riffs was a song called Phobophobia, and it was kind of... And then I got into the halftime because you listen to Metallica. That, so you learn to apply that to stuff like that. And there was a song called Torture Tactics that had this. But then it's an octave, so then I had one guitar player go down, and then I did up. So I had things going different ways.
Yeah, the Stairway to Heaven thing almost.
Yeah. There you go.
In a weird way.
So Vio-lence got back together, and we did an EP in 2019. So I was able to, I wanted to channel my Eternal Nightmare days kind of with that. Right. And there was a riff from a song called Flesh from Bone that was pretty cool that I... There you go.
I would say, compared to your hard drive, mine is corrupted. So after Vio-lence, then your first fill-in.
Get the call to get into Machine Head too. So I'm going to get into some drop tuning here. So
guitar check, Machine Head. Favorite
Machine
riffs.
Head, yeah.
Funnest riffs.
Always loved being, watching Rob after he left Vio-lence, start Machine Head. Started my own band called Torque, which was Vio-lence, we down-tuned, you know,
Right.
it was a really Machine Head influence. So, like I said, getting into that band was able to write some riffs that had the harmonics in them, you know.
Yeah.
But some of the riffs that I'm the most proudest of writing, the Locust record was really,
It's a great record.
really near and dear to my heart in the writing and the content and my contributions to that. I was working construction in Machine Head for most of my career with them. I'd come home from tour, go to work.
I remember you telling me that, and that blew my mind.
Yeah.
It's like you're playing at Donington, then you're going back to construction.
Going back to work.
Yeah.
I would get these riffs in my head, and you know, you kind of play them and you record them, and then you kind of sort them out when you get back. And the Locust riff. That's it. So writing, I was really influenced by Chris Oliva in Savatage.
Great band.
And he wrote in octaves.
Yes.
You know, Siren. And I love that. So I use that a lot in my writing. And that riff became such a sing-along for the band. You know, so those are the riffs that I'm proud. The getting the melody hook. I mean, there's technical riffs and stuff, but that one I wrote the riff in Darkness. You know, the ending of that becomes the big
great.
sing-along and stuff like that. So those are the moments that I actually still have those recordings on my phone from
just for posterity?
2010
Wow.
or whatever. So just to, you know, capture that moment. So those riffs, pretty proud of. There's a song called Killers and Kings. So that kind of riff, I was like...
Finally, I was going to say, you haven't played a harmonic yet, you just did.
That was the riff where it's like, I can write this for this band, you know. I couldn't write that for Torque or other songs that I was doing. But,
people going, so
proud of those things, you know. After I go from Machine Head, I go to Slayer, then I get a call from Lamb of God. Actually, they're going after COVID just kind of opens up, and they're going out with Megadeth. And they're having a backup for everybody in the band. So there's a point in 2021 that I've got Lamb of God set. Testament had called me to do a one-off. I've got a Testament set to learn. There's a Metal Allegiance show. I've got a Metal Allegiance show that I've got to learn. There's a Merkins gig that I do. There's like 50 songs of Merkins songs I got to do. There's a little-known fact that I was going to play with Devin Townsend at Bloodstock that year that he headlined, because I was going to be there with Vio-lence.
Oh.
So he asked me to play. I have a Devin Townsend set that I've learned. At one point, I've got 142 songs on my list, and I've got to be ready to play for.
You need a bigger hard drive.
I maxed out. I maxed out at that point. So going into Lamb of God, and didn't play with them on that run because everybody stayed healthy and everybody did their thing. But then there came a time that I joined, and one of their, mostly drop tuning. I think all their songs are in drop tuning.
I think they are, yeah.
But see, Lamb of God it's one of those things where you got to get back into got to almost be in the city again to speak the language.
Right,
you know?
yeah, exactly.
But they had a song called 512
that's great.
that I think Willie wrote it. But you know, awesome, right?
Yeah, it's
because
great.
you're building then it goes to but you're still toggling off this.
It's the biggest pedal point ever.
So good, you know. And then lots of triplets. So cool.
Yeah, they have a groove. They have that triplet. Pantera had the triplet thing. Van Halen.
Yes.
They've got that swingy kind of
swingy
flat. Yeah.
See, Mark will play, but I want to play him down here. So good. So good. So by the time you get to, I think in Laid to Rest.
Right.
Classic riff, right? And there's a
one
story
of the-
about it. So cool. And I think they've changed, like Mark has played this different than the records. He likes getting he'll try to get he really accentuates that.
Almost Dying-esque.
So by the time you get I was relieved, like, God, the madness is over for a minute. But they have a riff, and it's a bridge riff that's kind of a mind, so it's... What the f*** is that?
It's got that movement again. It keeps moving, like there's a melodic movement within the complexity of the riff.
It makes sense.
It's really clever.
It makes
really
sense.
Clever.
Yes, it is. And those guys are all educated, college boys, and I think that Mark had, and I don't think I'm divulging any secret between them or anything, but him and Willie would have it like, oh, he wrote this riff, then I'm going to write a tougher riff, and like, oh, this one's even more up to play, to go kind of back and forth. So.
Oh, that's funny.
But this riff here. So that's going to segue into Testament now.
Really?
Yes.
Pray tell.
Guitar change.
So Lamb of God into Testament. The segue continues.
Okay, so Laid to Rest riff. Here's Into the Pit.
Oh, I never even noticed that.
So Mark will admit to having to pay Eric, $20 every time he plays Laid to Rest, because he loved Testament and loved the riff and straight up just jacked the idea for Into the Pit.
That's so great.
Pretty good. You can see it now at different tuning, of course.
Yeah.
And it's a tough riff for me. But the part I like in the verses is then he does a such a cool chord. The third.
Yeah.
Eric's great riff writer,
That's a minor triad. It's great.
But this one I struggle with. Because in my mind, back in the day, I always thought it went hitting the higher
Right.
E flat in this case. But The Preacher by them was always cool. There it is. Then triplet. Pretty awesome for...
Yeah, your hard drive is working well, man.
It's coming back, right? But I love it's like in 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So good. Eric's right hand, and that's his. He uses a lot of those.
That's
and
his
really fucking good.
go-to. Yeah, it's great. So we got to finish with. We could go on for hours, folks, but I'd love to finish with. You're in Category 7. You're in King's band. Let's finish. Can you play us a Category 7 and a King?
Category 7.
Such a great riff.
Great song. Land I Used to Love. That's Land I Used to Love.
Right. Wow.
There you go.
That's brutal.
Yeah, I wrote that. Category 7 writing, me and Mike, he writes the bulk of the music, and I get together with him, just throw him riffs. I'm kind of help with structure, but I'm always like the middle break.
Yeah,
dude.
he's incredibly underrated. I met him through Zach, and it was kind of like,
oh yeah,
oh wow, okay, I need to go practice a lot.
Yeah, right.
One
He's
of those guys.
one of the fastest guys.
Oh, he's ridiculous.
There's one riff,
and he's always smiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can play it right now, but. So I love that riff. Very good. Thanks for having me, man.
One more, a King one. Finish with a King. That was easy.
There you go. Where I Rain.
And then it's so funny. You can tell it's him instantly.
Totally.
3 notes, like all the great guys, including yourself, by the way. You have your own style.
Right
Phil,
on, Nick.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, pleasure being here.
Mr. Demmel, the Rudy Sarzo of metal guitar.
Love you, Rudy.